Oops. Okay, the Torah portion. We are in Parshas Achrei, the fifth reading. Oopsie. There we are. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome, Diane. You let people in, please.
I will.
We are the fifth reading. Vayikra, chapter 17, verse number 8. We're continuing. The beginning of the parsha was about Yom Kippur service.
Yeah.
Right? So we have finished with that. Now go into other offerings. Okay. V'aleim Taimar, and to them you shall say, Ish Ish, man, in Beis Israel, meaning any man from the house of Israel, or from the stranger that will live amongst you, who will bring an offering that's a burnt offering, oila is a burnt offering, or a zevach. Zevach means just another sacrifice. Rashi So this is verse number 8. This is who is going to offer an oil offering. This verse is coming to make that the one who burns the limbs or the organs of the offering outside of the grounds of the Beis Hamikdash is liable for a punishment. It's like someone who slaughters outside the grounds of the Beis Hamikdash. To teach us she'im shachat echad, that if one slaughtered ve'ela chavera and another person offered the limbs and the organ, shneyam chayavim, both are held liable. That's what this verse is coming to say. Okay. I mean, this verse connected to the next verse because it's not on this verse alone. El Pesach Oyel Moed Lo Yavienu Lase Say La Hashem, and he doesn't, right? So it's a continuation, and he doesn't bring it to the entrance of the tent of meeting to do it for God. That person is going to be cut off from his people. What does it mean gets cut off? Rashi b'nichras zara nichras v'yamav nichrasim means his people, meaning because it says here me'amav that he's cut off from his peoples. So it means his offspring as well as himself will be cut off, meaning early death.
Early death, okay.
Right, when you don't do this properly from the hands of heaven. Yeah. Verse number 10. Ish, man, meaning any man, in Beis Israel, from the house of Israel. Omina gera gar b'tzeicham. Right, stranger, meaning, but that's a converb, right? Right. Asher yechal kol dam, who will eat any blood. Right. I will give my face to that soul that eats, meaning I'm going to pay attention to that person. As Adam who has eaten the blood, and I will cut him off from amongst the people. Rashi, in verse number 10, kol dam, any blood, it says, since it says in the next verse, atones for the soul, Yochel, I might think, lo yechayv, that you wouldn't be liable, ela dam hamukdashim, meaning except for the blood that is eaten from sanctified offerings, only their blood, which brings an atonement. If you ate that blood, where it's supposed to go on the altar, then you would be cut off. Talmud Leimar, kol dam. But the verse says all blood, right? Because remember, what's the context over here? Offerings. Yeah. So you might think only the blood of offerings that you will be cut off from Hashem. No, any blood that a Jew eats. right, is cut off. That's why we salt our meat to take out the blood from it, and so on and so forth. Kol nefesh batzar badam, who? Now he gives the reason in this verse why you can't eat the blood. Because the soul of the flesh is in the blood. And I've given you from the animal, right? That blood should be on the altar in order to bring atonement for your soul. In other words, the blood of the animal is its life.
Yeah.
I'm telling you to put it on the altar because it's in place of your life, as the Ramban actually not Rashi, but as the Ramban explains. Okay, because the blood is that atones for the soul of the person. Rashi in 11. He nefesh habasar, because the soul of the flesh shall call bria of every creature. Bedam hu taluya, it's dependent on blood. Therefore, I've assigned it. I've decreed it that it should be placed on the mizbeach on the altar, the chapel nefesh adam, to bring atonement for the soul of a person. Tavai nefesh, so let a soul of the animal come, with the chapel al nefesh, and atone for the soul of man. Right? Al kain amarti. Therefore, I have said, Livnei Israel, to the children of Israel, kol nefesh mikem, all person from you, all, right? Leiseichal dam, do not eat blood. And any convert should not eat blood. What is this? Sounds like now repetition, right? So Rashi explained, kol nefesh mikem, any one of you. Before it said ish.
Yeah.
Ish means
Man.
Means adult man.
Yeah.
It's an adult man, right? Not a katan, right? Ish as a first, so a katan is a young, right? So now it says kol nefesh. Now it says any soul. It didn't say ish, right? So Rashi explains, this is to warn the adults over the children. In others, the children also can't do it. But the adults are warned that they're the ones who should make sure that because children are children, right?
Does the translation here for eat mean literally eat, or does it mean like consume? Like
it means consume.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't drink it for
eating is consuming.
Like a vampire.
Yeah, you can't drink it, or you can't.
Right.
But you can do like a blood transfusion.
That's not eating.
Okay.
Right. That's not
Consuming.
right. That's not consuming.
Okay.
Right. So right. And
Yeah.
aside from the fact that that gets into the category of saving a life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But even outside of that, it's not eating. So therefore, it means the way of eating.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
Meaning that you have pleasure from it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
And also remember, since it's saying eating, it means if you're eating the meat that has the blood in it, if you didn't take out the blood from it. So it's not like you're squeezing orange juice over here to make it, we're squeezing the blood out to have a drink of blood, right? We're not speaking about purely vampires over here, right? It means having it in the meat. Having it in the meat. It's a juicier meat.
Yeah.
Right?
No raw meat here.
No, it could be raw meat. It can be raw meat if you removed it. Well, if you salted it, so you're removing it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 13. Ish mibnei Yisrael. Again, ish, man, right? From the children of Israel. I mean, Ageragar b'seicham, asher yatzu tzeit chaya, who's going to trap any kind of chaya, wild animal, or a bird, asher ye'achal, that you're able to eat, that one may eat. V'shafach damai b'chisai ba'afar, and you shall Shafach is dama, you shall shed its blood and cover the blood with dust. This is where we have the mitzvah of kisvi dam. If you ever did kaparis, so when you do erev Yom Kippur or before Yom Kippur, you do kaparis, right? The atonement that you do with a chicken. So then you you cover it after it's slaughtered with blood, because it says here in the verse, wild animal or a bird has to be covered with dust. Let's see Rashi. 13. Asher who will trap, ainly I only know the commandment to cover blood applies with one who traps an animal. Avozim, how do I know the domestic animals that like geese and chickens? How do I know that they too have to be covered when you slaughter them with blood? Right? Said a catch, which implies mikol malkum in any circumstance. Because the verse says, Asher Yatsud. Asher Yatsud means that you trapped. So what do you have to call it? You trapped a trapping. Well, obviously you trapped a trapping. Why does it have to say tseid? It means, and it doesn't mean that it has to be literally trapped, right? Because you don't have to trap a chicken.
Yeah.
Wild animal, you have to trap.
Yeah.
Right? But a chicken, you don't, because they're because they're not running away from you, right? They're not running away from you. So therefore, from the word "said," we understand something that's easy to get, right? So then, why does it have to say that you trapped if it's including that, right? Why does it say you will trap? Then one should not eat meat unless it is with this preparation.
But then wouldn't that mean that it can't be something domestic?
One second. You shouldn't eat meat so readily. You have to prepare it like something that's being trapped. That's what the verse is coming to say to us. One second. And I'm not exactly clear like it. I don't think it's a halacha, but it's coming to say, just like you don't trap every day, right? So likewise, you should you should not eat meat every day. That's what the verse is coming to say. Because we're not talking about trapping, because in the end, really, you don't trap, because there's a question about trapping meat. Because if you trap it, you may harm it, and if you're harming it, then it might be treif. Yeah. It's not gonna, right, and therefore you're not going to be able to eat it. So means something that is two things, like the chicken that you don't need to trap, right? Because it says fowl clearly, right? Fowl you don't need to trap, kosher fowl, right? It's easy pickings, right? Okay, thank you. It's easy pickings, so we don't mean that. It means easy picking. So then why is it for trapping? It means don't be eating so much meat. Just like trappings, you don't trap every day.
You're not risking it in terms of.
But when you trap a meat like a wild animal, you're gonna keep it for a while before you go trap it.
Meaning?
Like you're not gonna eat this animal like a big animal one day. You're gonna keep it like you're gonna.
Oh, it's gonna last you?
Yeah.
Maybe not. I mean, possibly.
But is it saying that you should avoid eating meat every day? Because if you're trapping every day, there's a greater risk that like you're accidentally going to make the meat treif, just because you're doing.
No. Just the general principle. Nothing to do with the trapping.
Okay.
Need more. Okay, let's continue. Because the soul of all flesh is in its soul, the blood is in it, is its soul. Israel, and say to the children of Israel, Dam Kol basar lo seichlu. Look how it's repeating again and again, right? I mean, different nuance we'll see from Rashi, but again, tell to the children of Israel that the blood is in the flesh. Don't eat it. Kinefesh kol basar damai, because the soul of every living being is its blood. He and anybody who eats it will be cut off. Rashi 14. Dama benafshay, dama huloi. Its blood serves it, but Mokama Nefesh is the role of its life. Shanefesh Luya boy, because its life depends on the blood. Kinefesh Kol Basar Dama Yi, for the life of flesh is in its blood. Hanefesh Hi Adam, for the life of the blood, the Dam, Basar Lashon Zachar. Flesh and blood are masculine terms, and Nefesh Lashon Nekeva, while the word life is feminine term.
Rabbi, even though it's not really mentioned here, but could it be that the nations around were used to eating blood?
Yes.
Maybe that's the reason why it was emphasized.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Kol nefesh asher teichal, 15. Kol nefesh asher teichal nevela utreifa. Rashi doesn't say that. Because in the simple text doesn't seem to suggest it, right? In the simple meaning of what we just learned. Kol nefesh asher teichal nevela utreifa. Now we're going to, not to blood, now we're going into, and any person.
Yeah.
If it eats, a nevela means an animal that died, or a terefa, as we've learned, meaning an animal that's sickly, right? Be'ezrach v'ger, whether he is a native or a stranger, meaning a convert. Chibas b'gadav, he has to wash his clothes, v'rachatz b'mayim, and he has to go to the mikvah. B'tami ad ha'arav, and he's impure until the evening. B'taher, and then he will become clean. Rashi in 15. The one who eats died, died or a mauled animal. This is speaking about an unslaughtered carcass of a kosher bird, she'ein la tuma, which transmits no impurity, ela b'shah, other than that time, shenivlas, when it was swallowed, the base of bliya in the throat. Limedcha. The meat of a carcass does not transmit impurity to the one who eats it while it's in his mouth. It transmits impurity only when it's in his throat, meaning when you swallow. Right?
Yep.
I have a question. So turkey, some people say it's okay, some people think it's straight.
And it's not here for not here in Chumash Rashi, so okay.
You can chew it, but you can't swallow it.
Huh?
You can chew it, but you can't swallow it.
Well, for the impurity. Yeah. Shemetama, I mean, biblically, yes, that's what it's saying. Achilasa, it transmits, the Torah is coming to teach you that it transmits impurity by its being eaten. It doesn't transmit impurity by touching it. Because remember, this is now a carcass we're talking about, right? So if carcass is an animal, so it transmits it not by touching it. But the mauled animal that's mentioned over here, it's only written here to expound. So I might think that an unslaughtered carcass of a bird of a non-kosher species would transmit impurity by swallowing it in the throat. But the verse says otherwise, to imply only it to impurity applies only to the one who has its specific species halachic class of treifa, a mauled animal, yatsa eif tame, which excludes an unkosher bird, shem b'mina treifa, because there's no halachic classification of a treifa by a non-kosher bird, because treifa means treifa means again that it will not last because of unhealthy. It's unhealthy, right? Maybe the lungs, something wrong with the lungs, something wrong with the animal, that it's not going to last. So that classification is only by a kosher bird, not a non-kosher.
So treifa, it doesn't mean trade.
Yeah, the treif, the way we use it colloquially means differently than what it
Okay.
means here.
In
Right.
this case, it's referring to an animal that's not a bird, that's mauled or died naturally.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you do not go into water to clean your to immerse your garments or to immerse yourself, you will bear the iniquity. Rashi in 16. If you eat that which is holy, or you or if you enter into the Beis Hamikdash, you will be liable for kares, for the impurity, b'chol shar tumas, just as you are for other impurities. In other words, if you ate this, this kosher bird that died,
Yeah.
right? Not proper slaughter, in other words, right? Didn't have proper slaughtering. You become impure. Now you went into the holy, you went to bring in a sacrifice. You're impure. You didn't go to the mikvah. Then you will you get kares. You're cut off. Is that clear?
Could you repeat that again, Rabbi?
We're speaking about over here someone who ate a bird that was not slaughtered properly. A kosher bird, not slaughtered properly, right? And therefore it's an avela, right? It's called an avela. And then you ate that, you become impure.
Yeah.
You become impure by the swallowing, the eating of
Yeah.
it, right? Now you went and and you didn't go to the mikvah,
Yeah.
right? Because that's what it said. You didn't, your clothes and yourself didn't go to the mikvah. And you went now and brought an offering to the holy temple. You'll be cut off from Hashem. That's what this verse is talking about.
And this we assume that he is conscient, like he
Yeah,
did it,
that's-
he knew and he did it.
First of all, the verse didn't say here, but we learned that if you did it inadvertently, then you have to bring a korban sacrifice. If you did it willfully, that's when this law applies. You never get cut off, right? Early death if you did something inadvertently. It's only if you did something willfully, right?
Is excision a one-way street? Like, can you do teshuva after, or is it just?
Third part of Tanya, which we will come to, which will answer that question. Actually, it asks the question.
Yeah.
It asks the question and answers there. Yes, there is the concept of tshuva. Now there is the concept of tshuva, just in brief.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. To be continued. Weeks and months.
Yeah,
To be continued.
yeah. This is a long journey.
Long indeed.
Okay, okay. If there's no interruptions, I'm going to finish off over here so we can get into Tanya, because Tanya's
Okay.
has to start in a minute. Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, Yisrael, speak to the children of Yisrael, I am Hashem, your God. Oh, didn't we know that already? Rashi, Ani Hashem Elokecha, I'm Hashem, I am the one, Shemarati b'Sinai, that said in Mount Sinai, Ani Hashem Elokecha, I'm the Lord your God, B'Kabalti Aleichem, and you accepted this upon yourself, Malchusi, my sovereignty. Me'ata, now, now accept my decrees. Rabbi says, that it's known and revealed before God, that in the future the Jewish people will rebel when it comes to sexual immorality. In the days of Ezra, therefore he confronts him, Big Zera, with a decree that begins with I'm the Lord your God. No, who is decreeing upon you? Who the one who will exact punishment from you? That was faithful to pay your just desert. And it's time like the practices of the Egyptians. Yeshavtim ba, that you dwelled amongst them. Do not do. It's into the actions of those in the land of Canaan. That I'm bringing you. Shama there, don't go in their statutes, don't go in their ways. Rashi. Like the practice of in the land of Egypt. Magi, this tells us that the practices of the Egyptians and those of the Canaanites are the most denigrated of all nations, those two nations. Place a Malcolm in that place. Israel, that Israel dwelled, is the most degenerated place of all. In other words, Egyptians in Goshen were the most degenerate of all Egyptians. That I'm bringing you, Magi. This tells us that those nations, Israel, that the Israelites conquered in Canaan and Israel, are the most degenerate of all. Don't go in their ways. Right? Someone asked me about why we dress the way we dress, because don't go in their ways and dress like them. And their statues don't go. What is it telling us here? You should not. And it did not state it didn't say their traditions. Their matters that are etched in their ways and their laws. You go in like theaters, studios, and stadiums, and so on. Meir says, these are the ways of the Amorites. Shemano Chachamim, the sages enumerate. In other words, don't go in the ways, don't go to theaters. That's what they do. Don't go to the stadiums and so on. That's their way. We shouldn't follow their ways. But you should do my ordinances and my statutes. You shall heed to walk in their way. I am Hashem, your God. Rashi, as Mishpatei Tasu, my judgment you should carry out. These are the matters of Satan, Mishpat, and judgments, and others that accord to human reasoning. If they were not stated in Torah, been worthy to be stated by man. And also observe my decrees. These are decrees of the king. That the evil inclination reacts, asking, why should we observe them? And the non-Jewish nations of the world likewise react concerning them. You're going, for example, like eating pork, and wearing shatnez. The tar is meichatas, and the purification of the waters of the sprinkling of the red heifer. Therefore, the verse is Ani Hashem. That's why it said in the beginning, I am Hashem. My decrees are upon you. And you're not permitted to be exempt from it, even though you're going to get nudged by people and say, what you guys doing?
Yeah.
Balech is by hand to follow them. All experience it, huh? Yeah. Lechas by him to follow them. Do not take leave of them. That you should not say, I have learned the wisdom of Israel. I will go and learn Chachmas Umais. I've learned enough Torah. I'm going to learn, the non-Jewish way. Last verse. And you shall heed, observe the statutory laws and the ordinances that I have, and you should do them. The person should do them and live with them. Ani Hashem, I am Hashem. Rashi, that you should observe my decrees. Excuse me, my summer allergies have come. It's only because you all just started saying Murray Datal. You brought my summer allergies. To include the fine points of the portion, Shaloi, Prata, Kolsub, that scripture did not specify explicitly, Davar alternative. This is to give observing and carrying out the decrees, observing the carrying out the judgment. The Torah only assigned carrying out the judgment, and observing the decrees. That you will live by them in the world to come. But if she should say, because in the end, a person's not going to live forever, you're going to die. So it doesn't mean you're going to live by them, you're going to live, you're going to merit Olam Haba. I am Hashem. Don't worry, I am Hashem. I will give you your reward. All right, folks. Well.